Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Allison's Corner. Of course, I am your host, Allison, and today's episode is all about entrepreneurship. Specifically, I wanted to talk about what I've learned since starting my own business. So, if you've been following me for a while, you know I have been on a journey of starting to build my own brands. We have this podcast, and we also have my book club, Allison and Friends Book Club. Please join. Please, please, please. I would love for y'all to get into the amazing world of books. But it's really been an exciting ride. But I do want to tell y'all something. Starting a business is not easy, and it is not for the faint of heart because there is so much that goes from starting something from scratch and seeing the end product. And so today I just want to be real with y'all and let you guys know all about the highs and the lows and the things no one really talks about or tells you, and my personal lessons that have changed my perspective on business, money, and just success overall. So, whether you're thinking about starting your own business or you're already in the thick of it, or maybe you're just curious as to what it's like behind the scenes, this episode, it is definitely for you. So, I really want to talk a little bit about of why I got started. Um I think I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I just didn't know how it would show up. And for years, I work in corporate and I've always followed that traditional career path. But deep down, I've always wanted to be my own CEO, and I wanted to create something of my own, and especially something that felt aligned with who I am and what it is that I truly love. And the realization hit for me when I started Allison's Corner, because this started as a passion project, just sharing my thoughts with you guys. And it has truly become something so much bigger than that. And it's made me realize that I had something valuable to offer. And then, of course, with my book club with Allison and Friends, that was simply born out of my love for reading and wanting to share that love with other people too. But if I can be real for a second, starting isn't the hard part. It is the staying in it, the pushing through the self doubt, and actually figuring out how to make money. Because that, my friend, is when all of the real work truly begins. I want to just talk about some of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and I have written some of them down. And listen, I got a list. When I started to go, I was really thinking. So we're just going to go and hop right into it. Number one, you have to be your biggest believer. Okay. No one is going to hype you up the way you have to hype yourself up. And people may be supportive, and there will be some people who won't take you seriously until they see you making money, but others just won't understand why you're doing what you're doing. Some people will legit think you're crazy. And I had to learn that my belief in my vision matters more than anyone else's approval. If you don't take yourself seriously, no one else will. And that means showing up even when no one is watching and acting like your business is already successful before it even reaches that point. Number two, consistency is more important than perfection. And this carries on in business and in life. This one was hard for me because I personally love a plan. I write everything down. I wanted everything to be perfect before I launched, whether it was my branding, whether it was my socials, whether it was my content. But the truth is, perfection is a trap. And waiting until things are perfect, it will keep you stuck. And I've learned that showing up consistently matters more than getting everything 100% right. Because listen, I really want you guys to know you will improve as time goes on. You will learn from your mistakes. You will adapt to new things as technology changes, as what resonates with your audience might change. But the key is to just start and be willing to adapt along the way. Number three, and this one was a bit hard for me. When you work for someone else, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every month, whatever. You get a paycheck and it's stable, it's predictable. You know when it's coming, and it is yours. Okay, but when you work for yourself, all of that stability is gone. And suddenly you have to create your own income. And with this, I had to unlearn a lot of my fears around money. Because instead of thinking, well, what if this doesn't work out? I had to start thinking, how can I make this work? Because I'm still someone who is still doing their 9 to 5. And when I tell you this is something that I truly need to master, I need to master because I always think in the back of my head, if I lose my job tomorrow, can this podcast or whatever else I create sustain me? And one of my biggest shifts was realizing that money isn't just earned through hard work, it is also earned through value. And people pay for what they see as valuable. The question is, are you solving a problem? Are you meeting a need? What is it that you are valuable in, or whatever product or service you are offering? Where does its value lie? Once I started focusing on that instead of, oh, just, I want to make money, I feel like that is when things really started to shift. Number four, your friends and family are not your first customers. And this is something that I wish so much more people talked about, because when you start a business, everyone assumes that their friends and family will be their biggest customers. And sometimes they are. In my case, I'm very blessed in which they are for me, but oftentimes they are not. And I want to assure you that that's okay, because it doesn't mean that they don't support you. It just means they're not your target audience. Your real audience, they're out there waiting for you, but you got to go find them. And you need to focus on them and not on trying to get your family and friends to buy from you overall. Because this leads me to my next point, you guys. Number five, knowing your target audience is key. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people who start a business make is not knowing who they're selling to, because you cannot sell to anybody. Any and everybody will not buy from you. So, for example, with me, with Allison and Friends, I'm not just creating a book club, I'm selling an experience. I'm creating a community of people to read more from authors who are people of color, and to learn about their histories and their cultures outside of what is typically taught to us in school. So, my audience is people who love to read but want to learn and explore different writings from people who also look like them or maybe don't look like them. So, when you're starting a business, you have to ask certain questions. You need to ask, who are my people? What do they love? And what problems do they have that I can solve? Because the clearer you are on who your audience is, trust me, the easier it is to sell. Number 6, persistence is the secret. And I really want to hone in on this because so many people start a business, they start a podcast, they start some brand, and then they quit way too soon. And why is that? Because they expected instant results. And here's the truth, success is not overnight. It takes a lot of time and it takes so much consistency to get there. An overnight success takes 10 years. And it takes pushing through all of those things when it feels like nothing is working. All the self doubt, all the imposter syndrome, everything. And I've had moments where I've questioned whatever it is that I'm doing because I have truly thought about giving up, honestly. But I always have to remind myself why I started and what it is that truly keeps me going. Number 7, most people start but don't continue. And I want to kind of reiterate this point a little bit. It's a little different from number 6, but I really want to hone in on this one a little bit. Let's talk about podcasts for a second. Did y'all know that most podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes? And a lot of people say that podcasts, the field of podcasts or the industry is super saturated. But truthfully, it's not. There are so many podcasts out there, but there are so few that are actually active. And the reason is because people start, they get excited, but when they don't see that instant success, they stop. And I've been podcasting for a little over 2 years now, and I get it because there were times when my episodes didn't get as many listeners as I've hoped, but I've kept going because I knew growth happens over time. And this applies to everything in business. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't are the ones who succeed because they keep going, even when it feels like nothing is happening at the time. Number 8, I really want to stress this one. You can't do it all alone, friend. I used to think that because I was the one with the vision, I had to do it all myself. Everything was done by me. But trying to wear every hat, being the CEO, the marketer, the accountant, the content creator, it'll burn you out very fast. And the best thing that I did was learning how to outsource and learning when to ask for help and when to let go of control. Because whether that's hiring a designer for my branding, getting advice from other podcasters or other entrepreneurs, or even automating certain tasks, delegating is a big game changer. And last but not least, number 9, rejection and failure are part of the game. One of the hardest things to accept is that not everything will work. And some ideas will flop, and some pitches they'll go ignored. And just overall, some people won't believe in your business. But I want you to remember this: every no is a redirection, every mistake is a lesson. Because I used to take rejection very personally, but now I see it as just part of the journey. If you are not failing sometimes, you are not taking big enough risk, and you need to take all the risk if you really want to succeed. So now that I've given you what I've learned since starting my business, I really want to highlight some of the things that are the best parts and the hardest parts about starting your own business. So, the best parts: creative freedom. You build something that is 100% yours, and that is the best feeling. you have the impact knowing that something you created is helping or inspiring others in a way that is priceless. And another thing that I love is the potential, because your income or your business isn't capped at just this ceiling. Your growth potential, it is limitless. But the hardest parts, financial uncertainty, especially in the beginning when you're trying to figure it all out, because trust me, I've been there. The imposter syndrome, I talk about it to you guys all the time. I feel like a broken record. It's just that constant feeling of, if am I even good enough to do this? Just always having that feeling sometimes is annoying. And also just the pressure to succeed, because when it's your business, the responsibility falls all on you. So if you're thinking of starting your own business, here is my advice, and I'm going to keep it quick and simple for you. Number one, start before you're ready, because you will never be 100% ready. So just start. Just start and adjust along the way. Number two, be willing to pivot, because your original idea might evolve, and that is okay. Number three, I want you to build a community. I need you to network, and I need you to find support, because once you're able to do that, that is going to take you so much further than trying to do everything alone. Number four, I really, really, really want you to know your why. Money is great, but your real motivation, it should be bigger than that. And lastly, number five, I told you I was going to keep it pretty short. Keep going. Success, it doesn't happen overnight, but consistency will always pay off. So, guys, starting a business is not easy, but it is most definitely worth it. And if you're on this journey, keep going, stay persistent, and most importantly, believe in yourself. Of course, before we go, I want to leave you with a quote, and this is from Simon Sinek. And it says, dream big, start small, but most of all, start. As always, God bless. Have an amazing day, and thank you for listening to Allison's Corner.